Chair recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. Correa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank our honored guests today for this most important discussion. Mr. Ray, Mr. Mayorkas, Ms. Azbida, thank you for being here. Secretary Mayorkas, talking about counterterrorism, threats to the homeland, really threats to Americans on a worldwide basis. We need strong allies around the world to protect the homeland. When Secretary Kelly was there in your position a number of years ago, I asked him about border security. We acknowledge, we agreed that border security does not begin and end at the border. If a threat gets to the border, we've got a problem. So my question to you is, do you feel like we have enough, or do we need additional resources to be able to coordinate intel for the benefit of security of all Americans around the globe?
Congressman, we are working more closely than ever before with our partners.
So if I'm interrupt you, next week is World Cup, Qatar. Thousands of Americans will be there. And I presume my question is to you and, of course, Mr. Ray. Are we coordinating enough with the government of Qatar to make sure Americans will be safe there?
We certainly, Congressman, have been working with the Qataris in advising them with respect to how to enhance security to
Director
best
Ray?
protect Americans there.
I would just agree with Secretary Mayorkas that we've been providing significant assistance and support to the Qataris in their efforts to secure the World Cup.
You would disagree? We have?
No, I said I would agree with Secretary Mayorkas.
You would agree, thank you. So I guess the next step is lessons learned. In 4 years, we will have the World Cup in the United States. So any breach, I mean, the government of Qatar, we hope, will have 100% in terms of defense there, no lapses. And I'm hope we're there to learn their lessons, because we're going to have to apply those in the United States in 4 years. Are we shadowing what they're doing?
That's an important part of why we're providing the assistance and the support. It's not just because it's the right thing to do to help the Qataris and
It's the right thing for American
It's also
citizens
the right
around
thing
the
for
world
America, because
to make
we
sure
will
we
learn from
protect.
it. Yes.
Ms. Abizad, any thoughts on how we can enhance the security of Americans around the globe?
So just on the World Cup point, I would say, the Qataris are very good partners. It's a partnership that we are engaged in from an intelligence community side. We have a threat integration cell that is stationed there, as we do for all major events. And the Qataris actually learned from us before we're going to be able to learn from them when they came out during the Super Bowl in LA to understand how we in the United States do security for major events like this. So it's an ongoing conversation, ongoing partnership. And I would just say, from an international perspective, those partnerships that you mentioned are absolutely critical to being able to secure the country here.
Mr. Mayorkas?
I concur with that, and I should say, Congressman, that we have a very, very well exercised and trained methodology to address major events. And that is throughout the interagency in the federal government, and we work very closely with state and local partners. This is a very evolved architecture that we have built that others learn from, and we, of course, are in an ongoing learning process.
In my last 67 seconds, I would ask all of you, really, that an ask of you, which is, what else can we do as a committee to make sure that we're coordinating with our allies and friends around, and maybe even our unfriends around the world, to make sure we stop catastrophic events like 9/11? We talk about border security and 9/11. The terrorists that perpetrated 9/11 entered this country legally, and we continue to focus on the border, on refugees, when the bigger issue is working with our allies around the world and other unfriends to make sure we stop those threats from happening again. What do you need from us to make sure that that type of coordination exists and is enhanced moving forward?
Well, one thing, obviously, it would be a long list, and we welcome the discussion, but the top thing on my list would be to urge Congress to reauthorize Section 702 when it comes up for renewal at the end of next year, because that is the critical tool to understanding foreign threats, which may have, again, foreign threats that may have an impact on the U.S.
Mr. Mayorkas, my 6 seconds left.
We have one imminent reauthorization that is very much needed, and that is our Countering Unmanned Aerial Systems Authority. And I think that our budget is something that's very, very important to pass, to provide us with the resources to advance our international partnerships.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.